Gardner-Webb head coach Cris Reisert, 52-45, exciting come-from-behind victory at nationally ranked Western Carolina. This past week, they're back in action. They got an FBS opponent this week, Georgia Tech, on the road. Coach, let's just start. Thoughts about that season opening victory, then we'll go to questions.
Yeah, no, anytime you can start, week one with a win, it's a big deal in terms of gaining confidence but I think, getting a little bit of juice heading into the other weeks of the season. The one thing I'd say is that I'm super proud of our guys' resiliency and their grit. I think certainly we need to correct some issues that put us down 35-7, and we will. But at the same time, just to watch them band together to not flinch, there was no panic. There was no bickering. It was just, hey, we got to find a way to get ourselves out of this hole, and they did, and they came together and found a way to win. So it was cool to watch. It was fun to be a part of that. Just proud of our guys and proud of the result they showed.
Thanks, Coach. If you got a question, I see Jacob's with us. Let me know down in the chat, and I'll call on you. I wanted to ask specifically about late in the game. Sort of you just referenced that you all missed a field goal, and then he came back and he hit a field. Charles hit a field goal later. What do you say in that situation to him? Like you just sort of said, yeah, one play at a time and band together. But I thought that was an important thing. Like everybody came over and
Yeah.
said something to him after.
Yeah, he's a tough kid. He can take it. He's not a sometimes you have, some kickers that you've got to, kind of dance around the subject. And with Charlie, man, like he gets it. He knows his job is to perform and put the ball through the uprights. And when he didn't, nobody lost faith. It was just didn't make the kick. And we knew we'd make the next one, and he knew we'd make the next one. And I think that's just part of the belief that we have in each other where, hey, sometimes there's going to be issues and mistakes, and we're not going to condemn each other from it. We're going to learn from it. We're going to grow from it. And then we're going to come back and make the next one. And so I thought that was a cool moment for him. And I think it'll propel him to make some really big kicks down the stretch later in this year.
Okay, I see Jacob has some questions. Go ahead, Jacob.
Coach, can you hear me?
I got you. Hey, Jacob, how you doing?
Doing well. Just a quick word about all of your post-game or conference honors for the week. And then Nate Hampton not only got Conference Player of the Week, but National Player of the Week. Talk about his performance a little bit more, and then what those honors mean for the players and the program.
Yeah, no, those are cool honors. I think anytime you get recognized, for doing good things, you appreciate it. If our guys were here, I'm pretty sure they'd say all honor and glory goes to God. And so it's because of him that those things have come to fruition. It's because of the team. I'm really proud of Jamari. I'm really proud of Nate. I'm proud of their individual success, but I know it, and they know that it takes all of us to be able to have those guys in a position to do that. And so, but I do think, speaking on Jamari, like so proud of his growth. He was with us last year, and we've been waiting for kind of this splash game, and he's worked his tail off. Nobody's been more invested, and so to see it kind of come to fruition for him was a really cool moment for me, and just really happy for him. And same thing with Nate. Nate, a lot of people don't know, but his mom and dad went to Western Carolina, and so dad played football, mom played basketball. He went to high school at Davie County, which is not far from Western Carolina. He had 40 family members in the stands, and he hadn't started a game in 4 years. And so it was a big moment for him. And just to see his steadiness, I think gave everybody poise, and so I was proud of him just from being rooted and being grounded and not getting too high or too low. And I think that's why the honors came. But more than anything, I think they both tell you, we appreciate it, but let's move on and get back to work.
Look, when you went back and looked at the box score, at least I did, some of the numbers that really stood out to me were over 1,000 yards of combined offense by both teams. It was really a shootout. But you had, I think Nate had over 20 carries. Was that the plan going into the game, running him that much, or is it just something that you had to use to get back in the game?
No, we knew we were going to run him. We had planned that it would be a pretty heavy load for him, and he kind of knew that going into it. And we're fortunate where we've got two really good quarterbacks that we love, and so we knew we wanted to play them both, and we knew that Nate was going to have to do some heavy lifting throughout the day. And some of it is organic and you can't control, where some things happen sporadically. And, because he's got so much feel and just a really good athlete, he'll pull it and take one. It's like, all right, good decision, but the plan, for us to be at our best is we got to run the quarterback and that gives us an advantage, I think, running the football, and it opens up a lot of the other things that we do.
Moving on to next week. You got Georgia Tech, or this week that you got Georgia Tech. They've got a dynamic quarterback in their own right with some option principles with a running quarterback. So how do you prepare for a team like that?
Well, they're a good football team, Jacob. They are really good along the fronts. Their offensive line and defensive line are really, really impressive to watch on tape. Obviously, there's speed everywhere in the back end, and that's equally as impressive. The offensively, obviously they go as the quarterback goes, and they go as the offensive line goes. Quarterback's a special dude at any level, and as dynamic as it comes. And so, the one thing they do offensively that poses some issues is, they're a heavy formation, motion, move, trade, shift team. And so you've really got to be buttoned up in your principles. You've got to be able to play assignment sound football and communicate really well in a loud environment, because you want to be able to put ourselves in a position to be in a spot to make tackles and get guys down and to play 11 guys as one. And so they do some things schematically that force you to be on your P's and Q's, and we'll work that all week and put ourselves in a position, hopefully, to play well on defense and go out there and have some success at Georgia Tech. And what I think will be a really fun environment for our team.
Last question for me, and I think I brought this up in the preseason press conference. Last time y'all were down there as Gardner-Webb played them to a 10-7 game, you said you were going to bring that up to the team and talk a little bit about it. What have you said about it this week? And has that kind of instilled a belief in them? Hey, we've gone down there and competed before, and we can do it again.
Yeah, it's definitely something, we're going to continue to speak about. I think, it's ignition, right? It's been done, right? And so we've just got to, more than anything though, like, to be honest, we'll mention that and we talk about it, but at the same time, we are so controlled about, let's just have a really good week of practice. Week 1 to week 2, there's so much growth that you can obtain. And if we can focus on that, focus on having a great Tuesday, there's a lot of areas of improvement that we need to attack. We were down 35-7. And so we've got to rectify the issues that allowed that to happen. And so more than anything, I hope we play a more complete game on Saturday, and that'll put us in a position to be in a competitive environment. And then when that happens, right, it's football. That's why they play. And so a lot of things can go wrong if you put yourself in a position just to be in it and to fight and scratch and claw. And so that's our main objective, a great week of practice, focus on Gardner-Webb. And then on Saturday, we'll play a really cool game against a really great team in Atlanta, Georgia, and we'll see how the chips fall.
All right, Coach. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Jacob.
Coach, I wanted to ask you about what you said about Nate, where he hadn't started a game for a while. I'm not going to say rust, but what does somebody have to do when they're like the backup or they're just on the team and now they're the starter? What are the key things to be ready to be the team's leader like he was for your game?
Well, I mean, I think you saw it in action, right? I think there's a certain level of, the game moves faster than practice does. And as a coach, you always try and replicate that as much as you can, but, it's tough, right? And so when you get into that environment and the bullets start flying and the looks may be slightly different than what you thought they would be, and there's more moving parts, the more experience you have in that environment, the faster you're able to adjust. And so I think what you saw from him was taking a little bit of time to kind of like get up to speed, kind of get his sea legs back again, right? And go back to just playing ball. And I was really proud of him. I thought he executed as the night went on. And that led to a lot of his success. But more than anything, it's just kind of getting back in the driver's seat and knowing that you're going to have some adversity and it's going to be different. And you just got to settle in faster. And once you do, go play football.
Well, it worked out pretty well. Coach, thank you for your time. Best of luck this week at Georgia Tech, and we'll talk to you again this time next week.
Thanks, Kyle. Appreciate it.